We do have sad news tonight. In a statement, the FBI confirmed that 2 of the 4 Americans kidnapped at the U.S.-Mexico border last Friday are dead, while the other 2 are receiving medical treatment in the U.S. And after the news broke, our own Peter Doocy pressed Karine Jean-Pierre on Biden's very weak border policy during today's White House press briefing. And once again, she laughably claimed that the border safety is a top priority for this administration. Really? I don't think so. Take a look.
The violence aspect of it. Now Americans are being slaughtered. Would President Biden be taking the same approach if it was al-Qaeda or ISIS operating just across the border from an American city?
The president takes this very seriously. He takes this very seriously. The FBI and other agencies have been on top of this from day one. And so that's what he's going to continue to do. When it comes to Americans' lives and when it comes to the safety of Americans, the president's always going to make sure that that is a top priority.
Now, while Biden won't address the crisis, Republican lawmakers are refusing to stay silent. Senator Lindsey Graham issued this very stern warning to the cartels and the Mexican government last night. Take a look.
I'm going to introduce legislation, Jesse, to make certain Mexican drug cartels, foreign terrorist organizations under U.S. law, and set the stage to use military force if necessary to protect America from being poisoned by things coming out of Mexico. So what would Lindsey Graham do? I would tell Mexican government, if you don't clean up your act, we're going to clean it up for you.
All right, so how many times has this administration lied to you, the American people, lied to all of us, telling us the border is secure? Here's a quick reminder.
Sounds to most folks like a crisis.
Well, look, it's way down now. We've now gotten control.
Precisely that. The border is closed.
Nor could I have been clearer and continue to be so, which is the border is closed.
The United States will continue to enforce our laws and secure our border.
The border, we are working to make the border more secure.
You're confident this border is secure?
We have a secure border in that is a priority for any nation, including ours and our administration.
We agree that the border is secure.
Here with reaction, former White House aide Stephen Miller and Texas Congressman Chip Roy. Chip, this is right on the Brownsville border. What bothers me is we had, in the first 2 years of the Biden administration, and already the month of January this year, we're on pace to set yet another record of illegal immigrants crossing into this country illegally. And add to that fentanyl, heroin, methamphetamine, cocaine, human trafficking. How do they say with a straight face that they are on top of this issue and that our border is secure? Because it clearly is not. And if they want to tell that to the families of the 4 people kidnapped, 2 families that lost loved ones, I don't think they'd have the courage to ever do that.
Yeah, Sean, thanks for having me on. And look, obviously, we're very saddened to have 2 Americans lose their lives, 2 others get injured in Mexico. But look, a lot of us have been saying this was coming. We've already seen this kind of violence. I was glad to see Peter Doocy ask of what we would do if we had al-Qaeda and ISIS just across the Rio Grande in Mexico, because that's equivalent of what we have. You know, I'm glad to hear Lindsey Graham say that he's going to introduce a bill to designate them as terrorist organizations. Well, kind of welcome to the party. I did that in the 116th Congress, the 117th Congress. I'm going to do it again tomorrow in the 118th Congress, because we should recognize the danger that they pose to the American people. But you know what? As sad as it is today with the tragic loss of these lives, what about the 72,000 dead Americans from fentanyl poisoning in the last fiscal year? What about the 4 families that lost their kids in Hays County, Texas, where I live, to fentanyl poisoning? What about the almost 1,000 dead migrants found on Texas ranches or in the Rio Grande River, or the 53 who died in a tractor trailer in the Texas heat last August? Where's this administration's compassion? Where are all the churches and the NGOs down on the Rio Grande River with their compassion, patting themselves on the back for being pro-migrant when all of those migrants are dying and Americans are dying? Enough. No more words. And Republicans ought to hold the line on this. We ought to designate him as a terrorist, and we ought to withhold funding until we get this administration to do their job to secure the border.
Let me ask you, Stephen Miller, we had a secure border. We had a policy called the Stay in Mexico policy. We built, hundreds and hundreds of miles of border wall. We didn't quite get to the end, but We had nothing like this in the Trump years. As a matter of fact, we had the lowest numbers of illegal immigrants entering the country in those years. Joe Biden, to me, is aiding and abetting the law breaking. He's allowing it to happen. We do know how to stop this and prevent this. Why is he not doing that?
Well, first of all, to your point, Sean, in 2020, we had a policy of complete and total removal. Any illegal immigrant from any country, anywhere in the world that came across our border illegally, they were apprehended and they were either sent to Mexico under Remain in Mexico, they were sent to Guatemala or another country under a Safe Third agreement, or they were returned to their home country. There was zero releases of illegal aliens into our country. Joe Biden came into office, he terminated every single policy I just mentioned and began the process of resettling illegal immigrants by the millions into our country. He is a human smuggler. He is a human trafficker, and he is the single best financial asset the cartels have. And now we see the bloodshed that he has wrought. We see the suffering that he has wrought. We see the death that he has wrought. And this is all on his hands and the hands of every single politician in Washington who supports Joe Biden's policies.
And after the election, Chuck Schumer said he wants amnesty for each and every one. Chip, I'll give you the last word on this, and that is that I would even argue that illegal immigrants are getting preferential treatment. They didn't have a vaccine mandate in the middle of a pandemic. They didn't even have a COVID check. We had kids in cages. The media that railed against Donald Trump didn't say a word. Then we got the Biden phone issue and free transportation to any one of the 48 states in the continental U.S. That's aiding, abetting, assisting. If I did it, would I get arrested? You're a lawmaker.
Yeah, no question. Look, what we've got now is encounter and release is the official policy of the United States because of Joe Biden. And as a result, Americans are dying and migrants are dying. We could solve it tomorrow. I have legislation, H.R. 29, which would simply say, you know what? Once you've got somebody here, you've got to detain them to adjudicate an asylum claim, or you got to turn them away. Same powers we've been using under Title 42, the return to Mexico, migrant protection policies. But you've got Democrats completely against it. Almost every Republican supports it, but there's a few who are kind of hemming and hawing and wringing their hands. The American people demanded that we do something about this. We should use the power of the purse to force the change to secure the border of the United States.
Last quick question,
Amen.
different topic, Chip. Will all 222 Republican House members unite on a plan on the debt ceiling that they agree on, or will they separate? Because I think the Democrats have calculated politically that Republicans won't unite. Do you believe they will?
Yeah, well, as you know, you and I have been talking about this. We're working on it hard. Look, getting 218, 220 on that is difficult. But look, keep it simple. Let's just return spending to pre-COVID levels, get us on a path to balance, and let's break the woke, weaponized federal government that is going after the American people. We can do that if we unite.
By the way, that would work for most Americans and conservatives and be true to the promises Republicans made. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.